Welcome, horror fam, to HHN365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm here with my co-host, Stuff,
Hey guys.
and our producer, Nico.
Hey, howdy, hey.
As always, you can reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram at HHN365, and you can always leave us a voicemail at 407-906-3405. On today's show, we will discuss the HHN30 ticket announcements and the Return of Jack announcement, and a bunch of other announcements. We have a ton of things to cover on this show. Duff, that's basically what this whole show is going to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, usually this is where we go into news and rumors. There's that's our whole show. I guess
That's our whole show.
One thing I can add is on the Hollywood side, their Twitter account's active now, so good progress there, I guess. No announcements, but their Twitter account's doing stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign that hopefully soon we get some announcements on that coast. Also, real quick before we get into it, I did want to bring up last week you brought up how we were getting the 1-star bomb just like everyone else in the community. And we finally went and asked for some 5-star ratings or honest ratings. We didn't ask for 5-star ratings. Your honest ratings on iTunes.
Yeah, that's what we said.
And wow, people did. We got a bunch.
We did.
And
Yeah,
they were like
so
all 5 stars. And there were some great comments. A lot of comments that I don't have open right now, so I don't read it. But it had something to do with Lady Luck and sharts and wanting the sharts on their face.
Yeah.
So that was great. I appreciate you most of all.
Yeah, that comment was a little strange, but whatever is, as long as Lady Luck is consenting to the sharts, whatever's between two consenting adults is I'm okay for. I'm not gonna kink shit. All right, well, let's hop right into it. Duff, where do we want to start? There's a lot to unpack here.
So I think the biggest maybe not the biggest, but the most informative aspect of it is going to be the tickets. That's what people have been begging for the longest. So let's just kind of get right into that.
Yeah. Before we do, can I just talk about this? Just feels good. Like, we have been doing this show. This is episode 59, about a year and a half now, and this is our first time that we can talk about like actual announcements.
Yeah, correct. We've had one like legit HHN announcement, which was Beetlejuice, but it was like an announcement that we already knew would happen, so it wasn't the same. This is like our first ever announcement on this show. And that's crazy because we started in the middle of HHN29. So, obviously no announcements at that point.
Yeah, I guess we had announcements at the end of 2019 where we got dates for 2020, and then we had ticketing announcements in early 2020, but none of it ended up happening.
Yeah, not the same. And I mean, even though that ticket announcement wasn't like, it was like they did the BOGO, and I believe that was it at that point, right?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was just. I think we got BOGO. I don't think we ever got. I know we had a lot of back and forth of like character dining isn't happening, stuff that, but nothing set in stone.
Yeah. So this is like our first legit announcement happening, and it does feel great. I'm very excited. HHN365 is now a year and a half later official, I believe.
Yeah.
Although we say we're not like a news podcast, and I don't think we are. We're more discussion and like talking about rumors and just having fun. This episode is going to be a little different. It's really just there's so much news to talk about right now. We're just going to talk about the news. We're going to discuss it, obviously, but we're going into the news pretty deep. So this is going to be different for us.
Mostly news. But I think we're going to try to discuss it like we do.
We're going to talk about
nerd out about it the way we do everything else. So
for sure,
it's going to be a whole show just kind of discussing all the announcements and our opinions and speculation and rumors and things of where this is going to lead to.
Yeah, we'll get there. But first, the tickets and add-ons. We'll get through that one pretty quick because it's pretty straightforward. That's just news.
Yeah.
So for right now, they only have single night tickets. Don't panic. I know there's a lot going on Twitter that they're not going to have multi-night tickets. They're not going to do Frequent Fear. They're not going to do Rush of Fear. One, they almost always release single night and multi-night separately. So this isn't new in that case. Two, they literally came out and said that multi-night ticket details will be released at a later.
Right.
So don't panic. Please don't.
Yeah, panic. I don't see why they would hold back. It doesn't sound like they're going to be limiting capacity they're
No.
not going to be social distancing. I don't see why they couldn't offer multi-night passes unless they're still going to be at 50% capacity, things like that. I doubt that is going to be happening. If that was going to be happening, I think we would have heard about it already.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, at least a rumor. And I mean, I get the point of view that some people have that, well, they can make more money doing single night tickets. Um, but there's such a loyal local fan base to this event that, do you know how upset they'd be if we didn't get multi-night tickets? Like, you don't want to piss off your fan base that much. So,
Yeah. In my opinion, I think they'd be
and
losing out on money
yeah,
because
and they
think of
come and
all the locals who
do you know
come
how much money
and
I
spend
spend?
money. Yeah,
Yeah, do you know how much
exactly.
money I spend on food and alcohol and occasionally merch? It's a lot. It's a lot.
Right.
So it's probably more than I spend because I'd only buy so many one night tickets. When I'm going almost every night, I end up buying alcohol almost every night, and
Right.
it adds up. It definitely adds up. So don't panic.
Right.
Multi night tickets are coming. I'd expect in typical fashion we're gonna have rush of beer frequent here. So, um,
Right.
but for now we do just have single night tickets. Um, these do range anywhere from $70.99 to $97.99. So really, there wasn't this huge increase in price that we potentially expected there to be, is there?
Yeah, I know Nico was on that flavor train of um that it was going to be like very high, that the prices were high. Not
Hmm.
to put words in your mouth, but weren't you kind of in that range that you thought it was going to be quite a bit higher on ticketing this year?
Yeah, and I think they're waiting to see how many of these they sell before they finalize multi-night pricing and
Hmm.
frequent fear pricing as well.
I can see that too. Yeah, I think maybe that price could fluctuate. Not the single night, the multi night tickets. Maybe they don't know where they want to price that yet, and the single night
Right.
tickets will reflect that or affect that. I'm sorry. But that's we don't even hit $100 on any of these tickets, so it's not bad to be
Yeah.
honest.
They easily could charge 100, but
Oh
we're not
yeah.
gonna.
Oh, yeah. And I don't think we're far off that happening in the future. Where
Yeah.
maybe $100+ a night isn't too uncommon at horror nights, but we're not there yet. So, good news on that front. But that's not the only place prices didn't really go up. Because if we go down to express passes as well, they only range from $69.99 to $129.99, which is a pretty standard for horror nights, to be
Right.
honest.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking maybe we'd see like those $180 like express passes topping out on peak nights, but no, 129.99 is going to be the top price. So, of course, this is when you buy online. Um, single night tickets, express passes in the park at the gate can be more and usually will be more expensive.
right.
Now to the fun add-ons. One that we are partaking in, Unmasking the Horror.
Yeah.
As usual, they do have the two options. They have the 3 house and the 6 house tours. Your 3 house one is going to range from $79.99 to $109.99. Your 6 house option will range from $129.99 to $159.99. Of course, we are suckers and booked the most expensive 6 house price.
Yes.
Um, but we did it for a good reason, I believe. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be fun to do it and fun to kind of report back of the experience.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely get content. There will be content in general about it from us. Um, Also, like for $30 more for the way we're doing it, the way it's working out for us, I'm not mad.
Yeah, we're doing it opening weekend.
We are. We
We
are.
probably won't talk about it till later in the season, but we're doing it opening.
Um, and also, this is surprisingly all of our first time. I guess not so surprising for Nico, but all of our first time doing Unmasking the Horror.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things I never just got around to do.
Yeah, as I said before, like I don't do or I haven't done in the past add-ons or even like merchandise. It hasn't been my thing, and I'm trying to pick that up moving forward. So I'm excited to get to Unmasking the Horror. Hopefully, it's character dining when that comes out. It'll be a great year for new experiences.
Absolutely.
And then the last add-on we have available right now is the RIP tours. There's going to be the standard RIP tour where you basically just buy a ticket and join a group. That ranges from $199.99 to $369.99. And of course, there are also private tours where you don't have to, but you can have up to 10 people. It would be a set price, and then you split it between, or you pay for everyone to go if you're nice. That's great too. But you don't offer that pricing, and we don't have that available to us at the moment.
Yeah, it fluctuates based on the day. I'm sure, like all these others.
Yeah, exactly. It does. It does. They just don't make those prices available.
If you want to hear
Threes
more
only.
about,
Or just call if you want to know.
yeah, if you want to hear
Go ahead.
more about those private tours, you can listen to one of our previous episodes that we did a couple months back with two people that worked with the RP tours. So
Yeah, that was a great episode.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was a very good
definitely.
episode. So if you haven't heard that one, go back and listen to that.
Very informative and makes us want to bite the bullet and pay for it this year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But as
that's
far
one
as
of those things what we want to do, but we don't know if it's going to happen.
yeah, it's just with
Yeah.
how much we're spending on other things, it's going to take a lot to get me to do it. But knowing me, I'll probably just do it because why not?
Well, if we can get that Shutter sponsorship that we talked about last, maybe Shutter can pay.
I'm going to email Shutter and say all we need is for you to play for our private tour at HHN. That's it. That's all.
That's it.
We're
We'll
good to
talk
go.
about you on every episode until this podcast is over. Just pay for our private.
In case there's like some sort of like system looking for an algorithm, I'm just going to say Shutter, like Shutter, 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 Shutter. All right, cool. They probably picked this up.
No, now we're gonna get like advertisements for windows and blinds now. Good job.
That's all we have for tickets and add-ons for now. So that is a lot available. Basically, just waiting on the multi-night tickets, scare actor dining, and that's about all we really need as far as tickets and add-ons outside of this. So that should be coming not in the not too distant future, I'd say.
Before we move on from tickets, do we want to do a little bit of speculation on if we think that they're going to like scale back some of the multi-night tickets and like maybe take away some of the Saturdays or make the ones that include Saturdays or like Fridays or just kind of limit? What do we think? Is it going to be basically just kind of what we've had in the past where we have the frequent fear, rush of fear, frequent fear plus, and then the one that includes everything? You think we're going to get the same options, or it's going to be different?
I honestly think it's going to be the same options. It's a good way to create different levels and different price points to where the more you get to go, obviously you pay more, and then they got to find the balance where you pay this much, but we're going to get this much in return from you as you're going to the park more often.
Right.
So I don't see why they wouldn't. It's a system that works well. Makes them a lot of money on in-park revenue. I just don't see why change it up unless they very shockingly put out capacity limits for the event. But I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, the only one that I could potentially seeing it is that maybe Hollywood could scale back some of their offerings just because they are going to have a smaller event. It sounds at least rumored to be smaller. And so I think they might try to scale back on peak nights. How many people are there on Saturdays, Fridays? They might see multi-night passes that don't include those crazy nights just because that's going to be a packed event with only 6 or 7 houses to go into. So
they'll definitely need a lower capacity than typical. And then also, I don't know if we made this clear enough at front, but everything we're about to talk about in this episode is about Orlando. So none of this applies to Hollywood.
None of this is no real Hollywood news or anything coming out yet, right?
Yeah, no, not yet. Hopefully soon. And before we move on from tickets, there was something that was part of the like hotel packages section, but it's really about tickets. So I'm going to talk about it now. And that is your UOAP Premier Pass free HHN ticket that you get.
Oh
I
yeah,
shouldn't say free. I mean, you pay for it,
you pay for it.
but it's included. I'm not going to say every single date, but there are 18 available dates. I don't know for sure. I didn't look back to see if this is correct, but that feels a little bit more limited than usual.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Normally, it's like you just can't do Saturdays, but you pretty much have open
Yeah,
other than
yeah. I was going
that.
to say it probably has about. I want to say I could be wrong again, but it seems like maybe like 5-ish less nights available. So not a huge difference, but it does seem a little more limited than typical. So, uh, does that mean anything? Not necessarily. But it also could mean maybe they are looking at some potentially really, really busy nights that they're projecting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's more what it is that they're not necessarily expecting the capacity limits. They were just expecting demand, like a
Yeah.
very high demand. This is, we
Yeah.
skipped last year. It's an anniversary year. We're getting, some big icons back, some big properties. I think they're expecting just to be strong demand.
And I would not doubt that. But we'll see how it goes. And that's still, just for having an annual pass, that's a lot nice to pick from. So you should be able to use it at some point. All right. So hotel packages. So there are a couple options as far as this goes. So you have the standard, the hotel and ticket package. So this would get you 4 nights accommodation, 3 park 4-day tickets, and then 1 ticket to HHN. These do start at $149 a night, and I mean that's a pretty good value,
I say
I'd
that's a
say.
pretty good deal. Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at the resort, you're not getting much cheaper than if you're just booking the hotel straightforward. You're not getting much cheaper than 150 regardless. So adding on 3 park like 4-day tickets, and then also the HHN ticket, it's not a bad deal.
Yeah. Now, granted, is that double occupancy? So you had at least 2 people,
Yeah, yeah,
149 a
exactly.
night per
Yeah,
person.
yeah,
So you're looking okay. Still, that's $300 for your room plus everything else that you're getting a night. That's still a good deal.
yeah. No, I think it's a great deal. I'd say that's a really good option if you aren't a pass holder or if you're just trying to go to HHN for one night.
Right, right.
There is also a pass holder package that is only a 1 night accommodation, gives you 1 HHN ticket, and then also gives you an exclusive pass holder HHN pin, which I'd love to get my hands on. And that does start at $105 a night. So, I mean, again, that's a really solid deal.
Yeah. And I love how they have this pin. The only way you can get it is doing this. You're about to see this on eBay for like 15 times what it would actually be worth if they just sold it
I know.
in
I mean,
the parks.
we talked about this off mic, but I'd argue we should get this pin because we are spending 2 nights at a hotel and buying frequent fear. What would with a pass holder rate too? So like, where's our pin? I'm just
Right.
saying, just throwing that out there.
It is a very good pass holder rate though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean ours or that one or both.
No, I was just saying like ours. We got extremely lucky with our deal.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, so we booked it. We booked it ahead of time. When it was at full price, when they didn't have the AP deals out yet, just hoping it'd be good. And when the AP deals came out, it dropped. It was right around 50%. So it cut our price in half. That was pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's also it for hotel packages. So tickets, hotel packages. There's also just hotel deals for that time of year, like during the HHN season. They have specials out. So go take a look at that. See if there's any good prices for you. I have heard that a lot is booked up already. That it's kind of tough to get a room that you maybe want. So if you're thinking about getting a hotel during HHN, I'd say hop on that as soon as you can.
Mhm. Speaking of hotels, it sounds like they're trying to get the hotels a little bit more involved in the event this year. What's going on at Cabana Bay?
So at Cabana Bay, they're going to have this is kind of jumping a little bit ahead because there's another announcement after, but you already know Jack's back, and they are going to have the resort jacked up. Really no details on what that is, but they do have the quote. It's a closer look into the chaotic world of Jack and some of the sinister environments inspired by his past invasions of Halloween Horror Nights. So what exactly that means, I don't know. Photo ops, meet and greets, who knows?
Probably like Jack in the lobby, or like how
Yeah,
Jackie are they gonna go in the regular areas? Because
probably
this
not
is the most
very.
family friendly resort, right?
Yeah, it's probably not very. I would not assume it to get like crazy Jackie.
Right.
But I'm excited to figure out exactly what that means. They did give us one detail of something that'll be happening, and that's that the Swizzle Lounge will be turning into the Horror Icons Bar, where I plan on spending much time and much money.
Yeah. Now we speculated this off mic a little bit, but do you think they're gonna require you to enter the horror icons bar with like your room key?
Ooh, see, not sure. There has been a slight precedent set that when they do events like this for Horror Nights at Cabana Bay, like they did in 2019, the Stranger Things. It was just a photo op, really.
Yeah.
You did have to be a guest to participate. Um, like you said before, this might be a little different because this is something. It's a bar. They're going to be taking your money.
Right.
So would they be glad to welcome non-guests? It's very possible.
I would say as long as there's not a giant line, I think they'll probably allow you to come and spend money.
Yeah.
Unlike the Stranger Things thing where it was just an Instagram room. There's here you're actively spending money and tipping their employees and stuff. So
Mhm.
I think they would rather have that place full making money than only limit it to resort guests, unless it is crazy all the time.
I mean, it is possible that it's crazy all the time. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll see. A lot of times, things that are a bit out of the parks take away the fanfare. Um, Hopefully, that's the case, and we can experience it quite a bit because I would love to. And if not, um, hit us up if you're staying at Cabana Bay. What nights you're there, we'll come join you. It's great. Um, no Patreon needed. I swear. We'll just we'll just come take advantage of you for free.
Yeah, no, yeah. Patreon's not our style, but just running into people begging for money. That's what they
That's what we do.
direct begging, they like to call
right.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, let us know. It's all right. It's great. We'll have a great time. But of course, that leads into the fact that Jack is back. That was the main pitch of this whole marketing campaign. Before, I want to say it was 2 days before the announcement was made. The announcement video was leaked. Everyone saw it. It went. It was probably up for a few hours at least, and then there were people who saved it, so it lived on forever, and everyone saw it. The video itself, to me, a tad bit underwhelming. But basically, what it was, they showed a bunch of TV screens, like not like older TVs, newer TVs, a mixture of TVs throughout the decades, like stacked in each other, showing different videos of Jack. They all came into one Jack, and I don't know. The narrator was a bit boring for me. It was very informative. It didn't
Yeah.
feel like a normal Horror Nights teaser. Like he gave just like kind of a lot of information more than
Yes.
anything.
You've
I mean,
known him. You've
yeah.
loved him. He scared people for centuries. That type of-
Yeah, exactly.
Who's that type
Exactly.
of? If you don't know who we're talking about, he's a clown. That type of.
Exactly. Yeah. But regardless, it was nice to get something that was a teaser of that style. Kind of more like the older, I don't want to say older Horror Nights, but the Horror Nights that some people long for. It was nice to have that kind of style teaser back. Regardless if I liked the actual teaser that much or not, I'm excited that we got it. I'm excited to see an icon, Jack, whoever, didn't matter, grace my screen, and to get an announcement like this finally.
Yeah. Have either of you guys seen this kind of out in the wild yet? Like on like local television or or pop up on your YouTube channel or
I've
anything
seen it on
lately?
YouTube. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I believe I've seen it pop up on YouTube as well. While I was just watching Japan travel videos.
Of course. I probably saw it doing the same thing, to be honest. So,
Yeah. When
um,
you search Universal's Japan, they're like, oh, well, maybe
Oh, you
he
might
wants
be
to go-
interested in this.
but the tag of this is not Jack is back, even though we keep saying Jack is back. It's actually Jack returns. So that's what they went with. It's fine, I guess. Again, not super impressed with the teaser itself, but happy we got it. Into more of the announcement itself, getting away from the teaser. They actually did quite a bit. So we got like the actual like announcement article, like the typical one you'd get of any house scare zone icon, whatever it may be. And there is one thing interesting in it is that when you go to the page that's just about Jack, it has Jack and then 4 additional boxes that say coming soon, like you'd see in right now, like you have 10 spots for houses and Beetlejuice and then 9 that say coming soon.
Oh,
Yeah. So it definitely leads you to believe that more is coming. I obviously have to guess it's probably more icons.
right. So maybe we're getting like a Sweet 16 style icon slate where you're
Yeah.
getting like multiple icons.
I think we always kind of knew that icons would be a big part of this event, obviously with the rumored and house that we 100% fully expect will be there. Icons Unleashed.
Yeah.
And then as the 30th anniversary, them simply being a focal point of the event would not be surprising in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I don't know about you, but if I had to guess those 4 icons, I would say probably caretaker, storyteller, director, and usher. They're like the main ones, I guess you could say, because everything after the usher was, I don't know, people look at them differently, and Universal treats them differently, for better or for worse. But that's how it is. So I would expect it to be those 4. I don't
You
know
don't
if you
think
have any
Terra Queen's
differing
gonna
opinions.
squeeze in there somehow? You get like a
That'd be
because I know
that'd be awesome, but no, I would not expect her to actually like take the
be one
storyteller
of the
spot or
4.
anything like that.
Yeah.
No, I just don't see them using the storyteller and Terra Queen. And I think if they're going to do it, they're going to stick to what's actually their promoted icon. Even though everyone knows it really should have been Terra Queen because it was actually built to be, but that's okay.
I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of rumors that Terra Quintus is going to be featured in this event.
Yeah.
A lot of that has kind of been scaled back though, from like, right?
I mean, it's still rumored to get the scare zone. Still rumored to be in the icon's house. I don't know. I think that's a pretty big, as for someone who is an unofficial icon.
Right.
That's a lot of presence, I'd say.
All right. But it sounds like we've gotten some more info on Jack as well.
Yeah. So they're actually pitching us getting like 3 versions of Jack, which they're specifically calling Clown, Ringmaster, and Rockstar. Clown being his original form that you would have seen in HHN10. Ringmaster, looking more specifically at HHN17, and then Rockstar his HHN25 look. So basically, you're looking at different looks and personalities that Jackson had. And I think those descriptions are pretty spot on. He started out as a very kind of basic, scary clown, Ringmaster, Carnival of Carnage. Obviously, that makes a lot of sense. And his appearance, obviously, he looked like a Ringmaster as well. And Rockstar, obviously, he kind of, the way Carnage Returns was, and his presence at that event was like, in Jack's Maniacs, like he was like a rock star. So I like those descriptions. I like the way they split those styles up. Makes a lot of sense. I think it works well. What I do think is interesting is when you're taking this approach, obviously, it's not really going to be progressing the story, I guess you would say, right? Obviously, it's more looking back. And Horror Nights doesn't always do that. A lot of times they do like to take the next step or just take it completely somewhere else. So actually, just looking back at past versions is pretty different in my opinion. And it's not that it just looks this way, but they actually had an interview that's actually on the Universal blog um, with Mike Aiello and James Keaton, and they said exactly that. So let me just give you a couple quotes real quick. James Keaton says, "It's not about the next evolution for him. It's kind of a separate story that's not part of the ongoing series. So enjoy it, and then when you see him next time, maybe we'll see what's next for him." So
Okay.
obviously that's pretty straightforward. Mike Aiello says, in a few more words, pretty much the same thing. To get real geeky and complex, I look at 30 as sort of a comic book annual. It's a collection of everything you love about Halloween Horror Nights and celebrating all these original characters and stories.
Okay.
So
So
it's
we're not necessarily going to get an expansion of his story. We're going to get a kind of a look back of where he's been.
exactly. And the way Aiello says it, it sounds like that's just this whole year in general. So I would assume it's for the other icons we'll see. It's more of a best of than it is like progressing the story itself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense with some of these original houses that
Mhm,
have been
mhm.
rumored. It's gonna be a lot of a look back at the
I
HHN past.
I would say I have hope and not expectation, but I would not be surprised if something like I don't know the Icons house, um, maybe just the way it ends at least, kind of progresses something like just a little hint of it, that
Right.
sets things up for the future. Um, but the event as a whole, it sounds like is more of just literally a mashup, best of. We're celebrating Horror Nights and its history, and for an anniversary like 30, I think that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. One word that really jumps out to me here is you've talked about a little bit, but the word rock star here, to me, that makes it like almost like kind of like a hint of what potentially we might see when it comes to this Jack stage show.
Mhm.
This rumored Jack stage show. Nothing's officially been announced, obviously, but that's what when we see Clown Ringmaster Rockstar that makes me think that we're gonna get like a rock heavy type show where Jack is a rock star and he has like backup dancers and things kind of in the back. I think we're gonna get a kind of a rock show here. And this is gonna be really exciting.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we hear Master of Puppets play in it for that to tie in with the rumored Metallica scare zone, which I don't know if that still holds any water.
Yeah, not fully sure. But that's to be seen. We'll see. We'll see.
It would be fun though.
But yeah, do you think we're getting the Jack stage show? Do you think it's gonna be kind of like Jack is a rock star type style?
I could see it very much. I don't know if I envision as him literally as a rock star. But sort of in the way you say that, there's like backup dancers, maybe a lot of music involved.
Right. A lot
Yeah,
of rock
yeah,
music.
I could see that for sure, for sure.
Yeah, no, I that's what I picture here. When I've heard Jack stage show, I that sounds a little bit more Halloween Horror Nights to me, like a dancey rock show,
Hmm.
than something that's going to be theatrical and going back and telling a story about Jack and his history and the all that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And
It would both be very great, but I think one feels a little bit more Halloween Horror Nights than the other.
yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think if we're going to look at this specific show for a moment, there's got to be a lot of pressure on those who are working on this show to knock it out of the park with how popular Carnage Returns was. Um,
Right.
People, it's what 6 years later now, and people cannot get over how much they love that show, how amazing that show was. Um, so it has a lot to live up to. And if it's going over to the Fear Factor stage, it's going to have a lot more space going to have a larger seating capacity. Well, it's going to have a seating capacity, so that's nice. And it's just going to have to be that on a grander scale.
Yeah, more
And,
production
and
value for sure.
if they miss the mark on this at all, I think people are not going to mince words about it. I think people will be brutally honest because they're
Yeah.
coming in expecting the Carnage Returns and then some. So they got a lot to live up to here, and they got their work cut out.
Yeah, I think the stage shows can be polarizing just in general to the community. I don't think the entire HHN community really likes to sit down and watch a show unless it's something that's kind of rocks it out of the park. So I think the shows in general have to be a little bit better than a
Mhm.
mediocre house, where a mediocre house can kind of get away just by being with it's not going to get as much crap as a mediocre show. Mediocre
Yeah,
show is
yeah.
going to be talked about, I think, a little bit harsher.
Oh, I mean, yeah. There's people who will trash a house, and they're like, "Yeah, I still went through it 8 times this year."
Right.
There are people who watched, or honestly, there are people who didn't watch, like Academy of Villains in 2019. We're like, "Ah, it's terrible. I don't need to watch it. It's a dance show."
Yeah. Just
Shows
based
are
on the
something.
2018 show being
Exactly, exactly.
mediocre.
You you have to draw people in. You have to make it so exciting that people are like praising it. Like
Yeah.
Carnage Returns. Not everyone was going to stand there and watch that show, but people loved it so much. Everybody made a point that they had to go watch it. Bill and Ted, kind of the same thing. That's how it's people walk into the park, they don't necessarily care about the Bill and Ted show, but if they hear about it from the massive fans, because obviously Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure had massive fan base.
Yeah.
Um,
Very
that's
polarizing,
what brought in.
I would say.
Oh, very, very, yeah. There's
I
a
would
lot of
say
people
there's
who
the
hated
people
it,
who absolutely love it, and then there's people, like who've never experienced it and still hate it just based
but
on what it was.
But the point is, it was so popular. There's not many, at least people like in the community, who skipped it. They would always at least go check it out because of the fanfare for it.
Right.
Whereas Academy of Villains didn't, it didn't have that same thing because it didn't have the same fan base. It had a lot of people who loved it, and it had a bit of I don't want to say cult following, but a following.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to the level of say Bill and Ted or Carnage Returns, where everybody in the community has to go watch it just because of what they've heard from them.
Yeah, and I'm thinking back at some of these other shows that have been here, like 20 Penny Circus, the Rocky Horror,
Mhm.
I think, is a little bit of a different beast just because that has such a cult following outside
Yeah,
of Halloween Horror
yeah,
Nights that I
very
think
different.
that does well just based on of that. But some of these other shows that have tried to establish a fan base, 20 Penny Circus pops out at me. You just couldn't quite stick, and it
Hmm.
wasn't necessarily because the show was terrible. It's just it's harder for shows, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're looking at something that, especially if you're going to something that's going to be in Fear Factor, that's going to take at least about 30 minutes to get through. You're going to want to get there early. It's going to take you a little bit to get out. It can be an hour experience. So you're taking an hour out of your maybe 8 hour night just to commit to one show. When you have 10 houses, scare zones, another show probably, you need food, you need drink. It's tough to commit that much time if you're someone, especially
Yeah,
who only has one night.
and I would say most people don't go for 8 hours. I think those are the crazy people. I think
Yeah,
the
yeah.
casual kind of show up pretty late, and they show up around 9 and they maybe leave at 1. They don't stay all the way till 2. So I think a lot of people, I think the casuals are really only going for 4 hours or so.
Yeah, and
I don't think.
exactly, and that makes that point even tougher on shows. You know,
Right.
imagine you're only there for 4 or 5 hours. You got to commit maybe up to an hour on a show. You're probably not doing it unless you're someone who's like really not interested in houses at all. You're probably not making it there.
Yeah.
Um, but even then, even looking at the Horror Nights community and not just casuals, it's tough to convince some people who go almost every night to still take an hour out of that night to go watch a show because they want to, marathon their favorite house. They want to go spend time in the scare zone. They want to have drinks with friends at Finn's or whatever it may be. It's an experience that takes a while. It takes a bunch of time out of your night, so it better be really engaging and better really get people.
Right.
I'm not really sure how we got into that huge, uh, not rant, but discussion about shows from
I
that.
think it's
But
perfect. I think it's good. Yeah.
yeah, no. But I honestly, I have high expectations for the show. I wasn't just saying it needs to meet certain expectations in general. I think that's a personal thing for me as well. Like I
Yeah.
enjoy shows typically, but if they aren't good, let's say Academy of Villains HHN 28, I'm not going to see you more than twice. I'm just not going to waste my time.
See, I'm a little bit different. I like to at least add, I have one of the shows every night to kind of break up some of the houses. The houses really do kind of ramp up my anxiety level, and a show kind of is able to bring it down.
I mean, that's fair, but even nights where I'm not doing houses a lot, if the show is not a great option, I'd rather just grab a drink and sit in a scare zone. To be honest, that'll be my show. Because if a show's not great in the first place, the rewatchability on it must be real rough. So
I suspect the shows are going to be great this year.
I'm not saying that'll happen this year. I'm just saying it has a lot to live up to, has a lot of expectations it needs to meet. Because not necessarily that people won't go watch it again, but it will get slandered if it does not live up to Carnage Returns. A Jack show just has to hit that mark at this point.
Well, yeah, it has everything going for it with gaining that stage and the hype around the anniversary. I think it's set itself up well. It just needs to now, knock it out of the park.
And this kind of goes into a point that I didn't bring up earlier. While this show was not officially announced, and we talked about it a lot, they did explicitly state that Jack will be seen in the house, scare zone, and show. So, does that definitely mean
tilted their hand a little bit?
Does it definitely mean the one we're talking about? No. Maybe it means he'll be appearing in the Lagoon show. I mean,
That's true. That is absolutely
true. If you're playing
true.
devil's advocate, you could say that. But I think what this show's coming. We're getting it.
Yeah.
But I will say on the Universal site, they still just only have the one coming soon spot in the shows section. So I will say that was the case in HHN29 until they did announce Marathon of Mayhem. It never had the coming soon spot. It just got announced.
Right.
So, not the first time that would have happened. But just throwing that out there. Just in case, someone doesn't want to get heartbroken, you can keep yourself down just a bit.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I would say that this Jack stage show is more likely to happen than a return of the Lagoon show. But that's more just Mike theory.
I would actually also agree with you. While I fully expect both, I would agree that if for whatever reason one of them did not happen, it would probably be the Lagoon show.
Lagoon show just seems expensive to put on.
Yeah, expensive, low capacity. I mean, the Jack show just has so many advantages operationally.
Right.
And as much as I love Marathon of Mayhem, I would be more excited for the Jack show because there's something in the back of my mind that says Marathon of Mayhem was kind of lightning in a bottle. Because they've had past Lagoon shows, not to that same level at all, that I didn't enjoy, at all, really. So there's definitely no guarantee that another Lagoon show is going to meet Marathon of Mayhem. Whereas I think a Jack show and Fear Factor, it's a recipe for success.
I think they've shown that a Lagoon show can work, but I think a lot of the things that did help with Marathon of Mayhem was the theme. It really took that 80s theme and ran with it. And I think that's part of the charm of that show. They would have to, they would have to think outside of the box to have a same type of hit Lagoon show. They're going to have to think outside of the box what they can do to have that same charm.
Yeah, and I think
it's possible, but you're going to have to really lean into maybe the Terry Ohio aspect or something. It's not built in as well as it was with the 80s theme where it's already there for you. You just have to tap it.
And it's not, if it's something based off Horror Nights lore, it's not something that's going to resonate with the general public. Like you were standing waiting for Marathon of Mayhem to start and had the staticky radio with the 80s hits playing.
Right.
I mean, people were already excited and they had the nostalgia flowing before it even started. Where without something like that can connect with everybody, don't know it's going to be the case. And even as massive fans of the event, it's tough to think of something they could do with the lore that they could execute that well that it comes across through just audio and some water screens. But
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
we'll see.
I still
It's
expect it to be
possible,
good.
but
I don't expect it to be as good as my May.
yeah, it's not going to have that same lighthearted charm. I think that's for sure.
No, it would be tough. It'd be really tough to do. And who knows? We could be wrong. They could try to take it in a completely different direction than we are talking about right now. I haven't
Yeah.
even heard a rumor on what this will be like. I can only imagine that being HHN30 and what we're going to see, that we'd see stuff that's more based on lore and probably combine some of the IPs we'll get this year.
Now, I know there was a lot of heavily rumor that last year's event, at least the merch, was going to be really 90s themed or like
Yep.
early HHN themed,
Mhm.
and then lean into the 90s element of that early HHN.
And I
If
mean,
we get that again with this event, and we get kind of like early Halloween Horror Nights, Fright Nights type of element to this, where that would have a lot of charm.
that'd be amazing. Amazing. And you could just think back to the merch we did see that was actually released in the first 2-3 weeks that they had those HHN shirts out. It had that HHN30 logo on it. That was like the kind of comic style with the green. Beautiful. Absolutely love that. Love that style. But we haven't seen that at all this year in any of the marketing.
No, we have not. We have not.
So-
It sounds like that's something that they've tried to kind of lean away from, and now they're just doing the typical Halloween Horror Nights marketing.
Yeah, I hope we get it back in some sense. I will say we did miss a bit of news, and that's that they released. We've seen this before a little bit from Universal recently, where they do like the preview merchandise, and they did the Jack is Back shirt. And I will say the design they used looks incredibly similar to what they did for Eddie for HHN11 with the ICU.
Right.
The design is
Right.
almost a spitting image of it, which not technically 90s, but definitely has that old school and kind of a 90s look, HHN style to it.
Yeah, I thought you saw you throwing a little bit of shade on Twitter about that.
I threw some shade.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know if it was shade. I was just saying.
There's a
nothing.
little bit.
I wasn't like trashing them for it. I was just saying like that was clearly an inspiration, right? Like that didn't happen by accident, did it?
Okay, yeah.
I didn't mean like I enjoy a nice callback, that's great. I love it. But anyways, the point I was going to make before we got into that part is that the front of the shirt did just say Halloween Horror Nights 2021 and not 30. We didn't get that HHN30 logo. It just said 2021 on it. And
Yeah.
it's that's not a shirt that you're going to get at Hollywood, so it doesn't serve the purpose of we're going to put 2021 so it could be a coast to coast shirt. Because Jack, as far as we know, I guess who knows, Jack will not be at Hollywood.
I could see him potentially show up over there, but
oh man, can you imagine?
Has it ever happened? Have they had Jack
Once?
I know they've had the director.
They had him for Carnival of Carnage as well.
Okay, so
yeah. I will say their account. I think this was actually where their account like made their return. When Orlando announced Jack, HHN Hollywood tweeted, "Oh man, the pandemic wasn't good to Hollywood Harry." I was like, "Oh, I mean, Hollywood Harry didn't look great in the first place, but I don't know. Interesting. It probably has nothing to do with it, but it's funny that they comment about that. But I still wouldn't expect them to be in Hollywood anyways. But they did put the 2021 on the shirt and not 30. So that, weird when it's not a coast to coast shirt.
yeah,
And especially when they,
strange.
on all their marketing, it has the HHN30 logo. Never go alone. Still don't like that. Doesn't look great. Doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
But yeah, strange.
Anything else to add? I think we just about covered all the announcements. It took us almost an hour to do it, but I think we just about covered.
All right, there's our news and rumors section. Let's get to the main segment now. The main segment is I want Nico to name every icon on the spot. Go.
Jack, Caretaker, Usher.
You're doing good.
Caretaker,
Oh, you said
I
caretaker.
already said that.
Terror Queen.
I'll count it.
Okay, yeah. He should be one. Who likes to apparently shirt on people? Or
Director.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that is an icon, but as far as I know, I'm sure there are people who would like him to
Oh,
shart. Yeah.
Eddie? Does
He is
Eddie
in the
shart?
movie.
He doesn't shart, but yes, also Eddie. There you go. Good.
All right. Missing a few.
Think of not men.
Yeah, you haven't said
Lady
a lot.
Luck?
There you go. She
There you go.
sharts apparently,
Okay.
or someone like her to shart.
And oh fuck, who's the other
We're
one?
gonna have to put a warning on this episode.
Trigger warning for sharts.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people who do not like that word.
Shards.
Think of an older woman.
Some sort of witch, I would assume.
Yeah. She might tell you. She might tell you something. She might have a big book.
She might tell you stories.
Oh, the storyteller.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There might be.
Okay.
Let's see. I think it's that.
Who else?
No,
I know who you're missing.
Yeah, there's a couple more.
One that's
There's two
that-
women he has not said yet.
one that was public domain and then wasn't, but might be. Who knows?
And there's one who was a very Harley Quinn ass.
I don't
Hey,
remember.
Mr. J.
I don't remember the names. I'm
Well, Bloody Mary.
Bloody
You know the
Mary.
name.
Okay. Yeah.
And Chance.
Yes.
Chance. I thought Chance and Lady Luck were the same.
No.
No.
But
No.
that doesn't make sense. Like they both have like luck in their name.
No, Chance is a clown.
Oh
she
my
is
God.
she is the
Damn
basically
event.
the Harley Quinn of Jack.
To be fair, you did very well.
Yeah.
I am very proud of you.
Well, I guess I named some of them correctly, so at least that's
Yeah,
good
we'll
in
cut
my
that.
book.
Yeah, you did good. You did
Yeah,
good.
no, I'm proud of you, Nico. I'm very
Yeah.
proud of you. You are progressing at a very nice rate, I think.
I always love it when y'all patronize me, so it's all good. So
No, that was not.
It wasn't patronizing. It always gets so defensive. We love you, Nico.
yeah.
We love what you bring to the table.
Well, I'm glad to be here, even though when y'all were talking about like, well, should Jack be this? Well, I don't know. Is Jack really this or not? I was like,
Yeah.
I was like,
we twirled our
he's-
monocle the whole time, right? We had our little hipster mustaches while we were twirling our monocle.
Yeah, I'm sure all the people who are like fans of Jack like enjoyed that segment, but me, all that was like, it was like chaos theory getting explained to me in a Ford Explorer. It just went right over my head. So
Well, now you know how we feel when you start talking about like Jackal or
Jack. I mentioned Jackal once, and for some reason, Mike thinks Jackal is my favorite band. When I was like,
I recall that you have told me that you have seen Jackal live at House of Blues.
Yes.
And
I wanted to
it's
see a man
stuck-
with a chainsaw.
It's just stuck with me that you are a big Jackal fan, secretly a big Jackal fan.
I only heard of Jackal that day. The tickets were cheap.
Oh,
and I
you
was
only
like,
heard of Jackal that day?
yeah, I only heard of the band Jackal that day.
Okay, so
like
it's one of
on
those
the
things where
radio.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went and like seeked it out. I was like, oh, they're at House of Blues. Okay, and then tickets were super cheap. I'm like, yeah, I'll go see a Southern rock band play a chainsaw on stage. Why not? That sounds like fun. And it was fun. They brought the mayor of Sanford on stage, and the mayor of Sanford drained a fifth of Jack on stage with them. So
What?
That was this is a true story, by the way.
Oh, geez. I
It's
feel like
lost.
the mayor of Sanford has much more to deal with.
I don't know why the mayor of Sanford was doing at the House of Blues at Downtown Disney. At the time, it was Downtown Disney. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks, Nico.
Yeah, that's the Jackal story tonight. So I hope during the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's some Jackal references in there if we do end up in that house.
It's possible, and if not, you can make it happen.
Yeah, or I can just take the chainsaws to whatever house will go in Shrek Theater that apparently no one quite knows what's going in there yet. So,
Or we could take a chainsaw to Town Hall of Sanford and kind of like turn the tables a
that
bit,
would
you know?
now that would be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Sanford's had it too good for too long.
Have they?
Yeah, they need to
Oh.
bring the auto train closer.
All right. Well, before we turn into the shitting on Sanford podcast,
You have good breweries, Sanford. You're not that bad.
yeah, no, you have good breweries,
sometimes.
you do. I would say that Orlando has better breweries per capita, but
Yeah,
and
I
has a
would.
better airport.
It has a lot of better things. We already know this.
I'm sure we're alienating our Sanford listeners.
I can't wait for the Stanford hate from this episode. We're never allowed in Seminole County again, which is fine by me.
Yeah, I'm okay with
So
that.
that's fine. I'm all right with that.
All right. Well, if you have any opinions or want to let us know what you think about some of these announcements, any speculation or rumors, you can always reach out to us at Twitter and Instagram at HHN365, or always leave us a voicemail and we'll play it at the end of the show at 407-906-3405. We'll be back next week and we'll see you in the streets.